Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You have found the right YouTube channel. That's right, Moonlight Racing League, Monday Night Mayhem. As always, Mean Gene Money here, the voice of MRL, with my tag team partner, Zach Panzarella. He will also be doing producer roles for our usual producer, Kevin Kyle. He's at home, KK. Hope it's all well. We'll see him back on Wednesday, but tonight, Cup Series Racing Season 3. Welcome to 7602 Jimmy Johnson Drive, out the home of Phoenix Raceway, as we are heading into race 5 of our 10-race regular season, battling our way to that 7-race playoff. 12 drivers trying to fight their way into that chase. Win and you're in. That is the story we're looking at tonight. Zach, how is Phoenix looking?
Phoenix is looking awesome. This is one of my favorite tracks in the world. I know this place has kind of a mixed reputation being the championship race of real life NASCAR right now, but as a Southern California local, I love this place. I travel 7-hour drives twice a year every time to come to this track, and this place is looking as slippy and slidey as ever. These guys are gonna have their hands full today. We're in for a good race, Mean Gene.
That's what we've heard so far during practice. We looked at that practice session earlier. Two cars really stood out, Michael Mata and Jax Duvall. Those guys were running 1.2 seconds faster a lap than the rest of the field. I asked the rest of the field about the track. They said the tires are garbage. These aren't four have-a-good ones they've got underneath their cars. They're four have-a-bad ones. And they're saying from the first lap, these things get squirrely. Zach, let's look at that leaderboard. Who are we looking at as far as this chase is going?
Well, for the season standings, we got quite a lot to look at here. Kenneth Redinger led 4 laps this season, but it doesn't matter. He has 2 wins, and they've both been very impressive ones, making brilliant moves late in the race to capture wins. He's always there when it counts, and that's what's mattered this season, with a brilliant and amazing gap of 32 points back to David Owens, who is a tale of 2 stories when you compare him to Redinger. David Owens has yet to win a race this season. He led his first laps of this season last race over at Daytona, but he's been there at the end, getting consistent finishes, several top 5s, finding himself in 2nd place. Finishing off the rest of the top 5, we got Jay Stinson, who is here tonight with us, I believe. We got Matthew Fritz, who's also been a great, consistent top runner this year. And Tony Iverson, who looks like he's our pole sitter today, which has been the story of all season. He's been dominant. He's been excellent. He's just run into so much bad luck. Will today be a different story? Will he be able to turn things around and regain the position that I feel like he thinks he deserves at the top of these MRL Monday Night Mayhem standings?
Tony Iverson, so dominant at Dover. We saw him take the pole. We saw him take that win at the halfway point. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, we do not have a stage break. Tonight, they're going to be running 125 laps, and they will award points to whoever is in the lead at that halfway point. Whoever's in the lead at 63, they're going to get extra points, but the race will continue. Going back to Tony Iverson, the man was dominant at the 2nd race of Dover. He took the pole, he took the halfway point, he took the win. And before that, in week 1, we saw him dominant at Charlotte as well. So Tony Iverson, the pole sitter today, somebody to keep your eye on. Moving forward to race 3 and 4, it was Kenneth Redinger. He only led 4 laps, but guess what? Like you said, Zach, it was the most important laps, and that gives Redinger that 32-point lead over David Owens as we're heading in to race number 5. Jonathan Quesabir led that whole race, Zach, and then all of a sudden, Redinger just took it out, just snatched the carpet right from under him.
Yeah, that's Daytona for you, and that's what makes that place so unpredictable and so brutal. While this track is a little bit more straightforward, I actually am kind of expecting the same level of unpredictability from these guys. That we heard so much in practice about how squirrely these cars are. Fresh tires, long runs, short runs. It doesn't matter. These cars have been impossible to drive. I will say, and I'm sure we talked about this before the race, the practice times, there was huge differential. First and second of Jax, and I believe it was it Mata, I believe, the
Michael
second.
Mata, yeah.
Yes, it was. Just had about a 1 second. It was a 0.8 second on the rest of the field. But look at these qualifying times, Mean Gene. We have only 1/10 of a second separating first to 7th place.
Oh, these guys are going to be firing it up tonight. Last week at Daytona, we had 13 drivers that received penalties for incident points, and there was only one in the previous 3 races. So this is a little bit of a smaller field. We've only got 20 drivers tonight, and we're not expecting that unpredictable super speedway drafting. But there's still some drafting here, and something to keep an eye out as we see that pace car is off. He's leading him around. Tony Iverson getting ready to take him across that start finish. Oh, this is still the...
Oh, no, I think we're going green this time, Mean Gene. It's a weird pace lap here. The pace car is already off since they moved the pit lane when they reconfigured this track. So we're going green right here. Tony Iverson and Michael Mata are going to lead the field to green.
That's that restart down. Tony Iverson is going to lead him down, and look at him cut down. That's where it's going to be interesting as they bottleneck here at the turn one.
Yes, and tons of action to start this race. Look at that. 2 wide all the way back, probably all the way down back to 15th place. But Tony Iverson leading the race out of 1.
Tony Iverson was the dominator those first 2 races. We'd love to get back into that pattern of he's got that Tony on the team. Hope he's not talking about himself there. Look at him just cut down. He takes Bobby Dodson with him as well. Buddy Sully in that 21, also on that inside lane and powering around that outside. Michael Mata saving those tires, pushing around that outside. Strong racing here at Phoenix as these cars are starting to go single file and put some laps on these tires. I'm going to be curious though, Zach, when are we going to get slick? And if you zig when I zag, we might have a conversation with Vince.
Yeah, you can definitely tell these cars wanting to make sure that everything is normal first, trying to settle in. We always say that and seem to find action early on, but it seems like for real this time, everyone trying to settle in, find a groove, get a feel for this track, and not use their fast repair or collect any damage early.
Tony Iverson still leading the field here. Michael Mata in the 16 in second. You can see Bobby Dodson running third. Bobby last year, he got the pole and he finished third, so that's somebody. He's loose. Bobby Dodson is loose. Looks like he's going to save it, but he definitely went below the apron, and he is off the pace. Bobby Dodson going to fade out.
Wow, big moment for Dodson.
I can't believe
Absolutely.
he saved it, Zach.
I can't believe either. Let's take a look at this huge moment for Dodson. Loose out of what's now 4, and that is so easy to do, but an amazing save, and lucky for him, tons of runoff room, no harm, no foul, besides the loss of track position, but that could have been far, far worse for Dodson, but he was running 5th, now finding himself far, far further down the field.
Good thing for him, there was a lot of space down there. All he did was cut off the track from those other people. Bobby Dodson now finds himself back in that 19th position. We look forward, we still see Iverson leading the pack, but Mata, he put down those hot laps in practice. Question is, how long can he keep them up? Iverson has that reputation for having that long run car. Oh, look at the cut down there by Mata, trying to find some speed. He does manage to cut off a little bit of time, but on these tires wearing out so soon, is that the move he wants to make? Zach, these 2 guys are going to get real close real fast.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that dog leg so many times as we run on board with Mata here, and let's watch him hopefully take it again and not do it because we just brought it up. But while this is literally a shortcut, probably the best shortcut is he's going to go all the way down and Iverson's going to do what he can to defend there. That is literally the best shortcut in all of NASCAR, probably in my opinion one of the most fascinating corners in all the ovals that this series comes to. That will hurt your tires considerably on the long run. If you can help it, you don't want to be using that dogleg unless you have to, in my opinion. You want to just kind of go right above that yellow line like what Iverson was doing before he felt like he had to defend here. Let's see what Mata does here, and if he wants to go lower, nope. This is the line that I prefer to save tires. It'll be interesting to see if Mata wants to settle in here and maybe save some tires and see what he has for Iverson later, or if he wants to try to go for a move now.
You can see Buddy Sully, he's in that 3rd position right now. David Cook behind him. He did choose to go down just to experiment. So it's very fascinating right now to watch these top 4 cars. Whoever takes that shortcut, the others don't. It seems like only one or two cars is trying the different line. Look at Mata and now the 21 of Sully go down below, but you can see Cook stays up and he gets that amazing run. And look at these 4 cars. You could almost throw a blanket over them as we are here early, lap 9 at 125 at Phoenix. And look at Michael Mata. He is right on the tailpipe, maybe going under Iverson right here.
Yeah, look at Mata, and I loved what we saw earlier with the 3 wide. That was all for clean air. That's all that 21 of Sally wanted. But look at Mata looking the inside of Iverson here for the lead. He's going to go into, I guess, what's 1 and 2. And here we go. That's a great run, and the exit should be easy for him. Iverson's going to let him have this one. Live to see another day. The 16 of Michael Mata to the lead early on here at Phoenix.
Crossover attempt by Iverson, not going to work as Mata got that amazing run. Iverson still hugging the apron, and we can see the 21 of Sully and the 71 of Cook keeping it tight. 2 cars now going down under that apron. Strong run right here. Michael Mata, he was one of the fastest cars, and I mean 1.2 seconds faster than everybody else in practice, along with Jax Duvall. And right now with that clean air, Zach, I think we might see this guy try to check out early and at least get a good run. They can get about 50 laps on these green flag runs, but Iverson, he's back. He won't go away. It's like you're at the beach and he's the sunburn again, and he's underneath Mata. What a move by Iverson.
The same move he watched Michael do and said, that looked kind of easy. Let me try it. Ooh, a little bit more difficult for Iverson, but he gets it done. That was some awesome racing between 2 of the best drivers in this series all season long, and I totally agree. I think also now is the time, and I've talked about this earlier this season, and I'm going to talk about it again on this track. This is the time to try out new lines. See what that dogleg does for your tires. If it burns your stuff up, better to find out now in the first stage of this race than later on. So you're going to see a little bit more aggressive lines, but the racing, so respectful. Lots of give and take, especially between this 13 and 16 and the early going to make sure that these guys can live to see the end of the race. But man, this is good stuff and fascinating. How often do you see someone make a run a little bit, not deep, but somewhat deep into this run, and they just drive away? But no, Iverson able to learn why he got past and undo it. Awesome stuff.
Quick adjustment there by the Dominator, Tony Iverson. I'll tell you another car now that we're starting to see is that 6 of Jonathan K. Sabir. Remember, he was strong at Daytona until Redinger took it on that last lap from him. K. Sabir now closing the gap into that second group as he sees some side-by-side racing in front of him. And then Joe Volkus running strong in 6. Zach, Joe, he did really good last year at this track, didn't he?
Joe Volpus was absolutely dominant here last year. As we can take a look at the stats, Artie, we have the stuff to show it. Look at this from Joe Volpus last year. He won the race, he was the stage winner, and he led the most laps. The pole went to Dodson, who we did see have tons of speed early on, and I'm sure we'll see him up front later in this race. But man, Volpus, if he can get up front today, he has proven to be hard to beat. And who's that second name there that led the second most laps, only 5 less than Volpus? The guy leading the race right now. So it tells a lot of stories just by looking at those numbers right there of what to look for later in this race and why it's no surprise who's leading this race right now.
A story right now is the side-by-side racing of Buddy Sully and David Cook. They were side-by-side for about 2 laps there. Might affect their tires later on. Finally, the 21 of Buddy Sully did take that position. He's up into 3rd now, and you can see Cook, though, he's not going away. Still charging hard, and that side-by-side racing did give K. Sabir and Volpus the opportunity to close that gap. So as we can see, you've got 4 strong, and then K. Sabir and Volpus trying to close up that gap on David Cook as well. Behind them, Austin Merrow running 7th, Kenneth Redinger, our series leader, in 8th, Mason Smalley 9, Jax Duvall in 10th, slightly surprising considering how
Medina in the wall,
was.
hard hit by Medina into the wall right there, right as we looked over. And I don't know if that's going to bring out a caution, Mean Gene, but that was an enormous hit for Medina.
It might not. They're going to think about safety first. Does it slow the field? That's something they decide. If not, they'll just keep it under green, and that's what it looks like is going to happen for Medina. Remember, Medina 2 weeks ago in his first race, unaware of the quick return option here, and he quickly went down 8 or 9 laps. hopefully Medina will pull that thing in. Still a green flag, but he can get that quick repair and only be a couple 3 down in a top contender for Lucky Dog if and when you do have cautions. 21 a little bit squirrely, and that's going to let David Cook get around. We can see 21 underneath. Strong racing, and Cook is going to take that position from Buddy Sully. And look at Jonathan Quesabir. He is now right on the tail of the 21 of Sully. Strong racing here, lap 20 of 125. And remember, we're seeing who can get to lap 63 first to get that ever important point in this race for the chase.
Yeah, unfortunate for Jose Medina. Last week he gets damaged under caution and isn't able to use that fast repair. This week gets damaged and it stays green, so it's going to be a similar result, probably 3 or 4 laps down. But hey, probably fresh tires in that thing, a brand new next gen. Hopefully he can recover, and if we do get some cautions, this race isn't over for him. But yeah, let's talk about this group over here. We got Quesabir making tons of progress in that Ryan Blaney or Austin Cindric looking scheme. That's up to you who you think it is. And then you got Buddy Sally in front of him. I agree.
Cindric is like saying Beetlejuice, so let's say we're gonna go with it.
Well, I promise you I won't be saying that name a third time.
Hey, if you wreck your own teammates, you know the Cindric is quite the opportunist. Jonathan Quesabir, he's going to run a little bit cleaner than that guy.
Yes, he is. But this group, I think is where you're going to start to see some of the long run speed come in, because clearly they are able to stay with each other. They're having a hard time passing, but the racing between them and the distance between them, to me, is fascinating. I think it's telling a really interesting story about how the tires are going to wear here, but also how it's going to be a little bit difficult to find passing lanes on long runs with how old tires limit you. But these top 6 down to Volpis, truly in a league of their own right now, because back to Redinger in 7th is a full 3-second gap.
Yeah, not exactly where you want to be, but maybe that's Redinger's strategy. He's saving some tires. He's not too concerned with it. Let's face it, he knows when to strike. He's like a cobra, except you don't quite see him in the grass. And then all of a sudden, zap, your ankle's his, and he's the one standing in victory lane. But right now, it's Tony Iverson wanting to leave his mark. He just runs so smooth, doesn't he, Zach?
I just love the way Iverson approaches long runs. Mata all the way to the bottom, near the wall. We're going to see him pop up, and wow, that was sexy by Mata. That was awesome. That's how you use that dogleg for aggressive moves. And he went so low, it shot him all the way to the top, allowing Iverson here to get to the bottom. This will be a drag race going into 3 or 4. One of the hardest and most difficult corners of this entire track. We'll see what happens.
The 71 loves to see that drag race, because that side-by-side drafting is going to let him close the gap. Look how quick he closes the gap, and he's on the outside. He'd love to take advantage of that speed. Lapped car coming into the picture. Going to be interesting. It does affect Cook, in my opinion.
Yes, the lap cars definitely are going to play a role in here. It is hard, like we just talked about, to find the line you want to make passes. So just imagine when a lap car is running the line that you want, it messes everything up. There's going to be a lot of passes made there, as we just saw David Cook take advantage of that situation, working his way up to 3rd place. This is so good, Mean Gene. There are like 6 cars who could win this race right now.
I'm not surprised, not at all surprised to see Cook running up there, Iverson. You know, Michael Mata, he was really strong last week. Unfortunate victim of some accidents that took him out of the race. And that was just a limited display of the skill of Michael Mata. And right now, he is getting to put on a full exhibition of what he's able to do, as he's got that 16 Chevrolet in the front right now. David Cook also driving a bow tie in 2nd. Iverson, he's your lone Toyota. Then Sally, Quesabir, Volpis coming up from behind, running those Fords. Right now, Ford does not stand for first on race day, but those 3 men would like to change that.
Yes, and let me tell you guys a quick little story about David Cook as we go back on board with him and watch just how smooth his input's in, how little he is turning that wheel. Oh my goodness, that's so impressive. That is not a straightaway, but you'd swear it is by how good his approach is, how good his angles are. But let me talk to you about David Cook in Thursday nights. He recently came over that league that I race in on Thursday nights at the Truck Series of MRL. And David Cook immediately put his stamp on that league. And what he does so often is early in runs, you'll be racing him for the lead, and he will obviously let you go. And it's honestly kind of more than any driver I've experienced in a league race, to the degree he'll let you go. And the reason is why he's doing that is exactly why, or what you're seeing right here, is to get that later speed, to watch you, to learn what you're doing, how he's going to pass you, but also to keep his steering input this little, because look how easy this looks for him compared to the rest of the field. I'll take you guys on board with Iverson, who I think might be struggling a little bit more here. You're going to just see a little more, I think, confidence, or a little less confidence on the exits here. Listen to the tires, you can hear them. A lot more input there. You see all that wobbliness of the wheel on exit. That's not fun, and that's all because that Cook has methodically approached this run.
Strong racing in the back of the field, the 28 of Austin Merrow and the 2 of Jay Stinson right now, side by side. That's a battle for 10th place. You can see these fellas right now racing hard. Behind them, Jack Sanders, your defending lead champion. He'd love to close that gap, especially while these two are playing side drafting games with each other. It's Mason Smalley in the 26 behind him, and then it looks like Steve Lewis in the 88 as well. But these two fellas right now battling for that 10th position. Really strong race in Stinson underneath. Stinson is 3rd in points as well, so he'd like to have a nice finish here to continue to hold his position, as he is the 2nd person in points without a win right now after Redinger. Good run. Look how close, though, those fellas are starting to tighten up. Jack Sanders going to use that outside line. Let's see what kind of a run he gets. That's got to be using up tires to be driving down there, Zach.
Yeah, what? I'm forgetting, to be entirely honest. What was the lap that Owens told us that these guys were going to want to pit on if we do stay green?
He didn't say.
Wow.
Owens he was in a room full of other drivers, and it seemed like these tires were so slick, folks are not talking. They did say they could make about 50 or 55 laps under green. That's all we've seen so far. We're at lap 34. So at some point, what do? Do you just keep pushing it, hoping for a caution? Or do you make a call somewhere and say, look, I'm going to have to pit twice to make it to the end of this race? Why not do it now? I don't know where you split it up, Zach.
There's so many pros and cons to both. So let's talk about if you want to pit now, potentially before everyone else. The pros to that is you get to come back on the track, and you're probably running, okay, let's see, last lap, but our leader was a 28.4 and his best was a 28.6. So let's just assume nearly 1 second faster a lap. So if you are 5 seconds, if you're a Fritz or a Duval right now, and you're 5 seconds behind the leaders, you can make that up. As we see Quesabirro, the inside of Iverson here. Iverson just struggling to hold on to these tires. We've already seen, I believe that was Solly get by him. Iverson not having a good time. And look at this 3 wide with Volpis. Volpis not able to run there. But okay,
no, Volpis is not. He's not going to take that chance. That guy's had some bad luck. He's not going to do that again.
I agree. So back to the tires. So that is the pros, is you can make up tons of time. So the cons, so let's look at Jose Medina. He is 2 laps down. He's the one who we saw in that wreck under green. He immediately got to the pits, got that fast repair done, did his job perfectly. That's still 2 laps down. So if you get a mistime caution, if you pit and before you can make up those 2 caution laps, or I'm sorry, those 2 laps down, or if those cars don't pit in enough time before the caution comes out, that could ruin your whole race. We saw that happen to Iverson earlier this year. And then staying out, you can kind of reverse that. You can trap cars a lap down. You can really put yourself in control of this race, but the cons are obvious. You are out on this track on brutal tires, giving up tons of time. And if we stay green out here, you may not get that time back.
That's a decision each of these drivers is going to have to make. And as I said earlier, I was in the drivers' meeting and nobody wanted to reveal. When I said, how many laps do you boys think you can make on these tires? It was silent. I could hear the crickets as the drivers were just looking at each other as though no one wanted to reveal any of their strategy. I said, when are you going to pit? And all of them again looking at each other, not telling me a thing. So I think as we get through this, we're just going to see a lot of secrets revealed as these guys go through their evening.
Awesome. I didn't know you could just hit us with the Stream Deck effects. I love that. But yeah, I agree. And it's gonna be crazy, and it's gonna be, I think, the story of who can outsmart and play some chess. Wow, look how loose Cook got there on exit. And we are really seeing who took care of their tires and who didn't. Cook now struggling more than you think. Mata able to get by him and driving away from Cook. And now you see Sally, another guy who clearly really took care of his stuff. making a move on the outside of Cook, which I think he's going to get done because he seems to be very comfortable with that 71. I'm sorry, with that 21.
Yeah, Sully, remember last year he was in that race for the win at Phoenix last year, so not a surprise. Sully also has taken a pole this year, got a pole position, strong driver, and right now he is driving that 21 up into that second position. But Michael Mata, he is continuing. He's got 9/10 of a second, and that lead just continues to grow as we see Mata putting on a show right now for the rest of the field here in Phoenix. Looking strong up front, being chased down. Buddy Sully, David Cook. Iverson has fallen back into fourth. Not used to seeing him struggle with his vehicle, and he is about to get passed by Jonathan K. Sabir as those two are fighting right now for that fourth position. Joe Vulpes is directly behind them. So again, that top six with quite the lead, but you know what? Kenneth Redinger has silently started to creep up on that group, and you could see that 24 coming into the picture as Iverson and K. Sabir, almost like a moving wall. Joe Vulpes cutting down low. He's got to do something because now suddenly you can see Redinger coming into that picture, and Fritz is not going to be much further behind, closing that gap. Still, strong run by Mata up front, trying to pull away from this field. We're on lap 43. We've got about 21 laps until that halfway mark. No caution, but points will be awarded. W and V, they look the same. And look at Vulpes again cutting down. Really cost himself there.
Yeah, something went wrong with Vulpes there. Let's take a look because he lost the position to Redinger. Something went very wrong. Oh, wow. Got very loose right here at the dog leg. There it is. Woo. The little Hoonigan slide there. Nice save by Vulpes. Again, no harm, no foul besides one spot. But yeah, this is in case of beer there, clearly getting by Iverson. Let's take a look at how that was done, because I was going to say either Vulpes or Case of Beer is about to run out of patience here, because it was taking Iverson a long time to get past. Iverson gets loose at a 2 there, gives Case of Beer the window that he's been waiting 10 plus laps for, and he's gone, and he's going to set his sails. And another brilliant long run here, long run driver that we're seeing, Jonathan Case of Beer, just doing an excellent job. We'll see what he can do here. Is Redinger also able to get by Iverson? Iverson just falling down the field. Not the long run speed.
Loose.
Oh,
he's
no.
loose. He's spinning.
Iverson
He's
around. Wow.
Control.
Will this be a caution? Watch out, Mata. Oh, that was horrifying, Mean Gene.
There's
that
your
was
caution,
horrifying.
ladies and gentlemen.
There's our caution. Did
MRL
you see
officials.
how close that was to Mata?
He wasn't going to come back on the track, but that was terrifying.
Oh,
to
yeah, that
watch
doesn't.
Iverson.
Yeah, that doesn't make a difference for Mata and how nerve-wracking that was for him. Because this should be the wreck here for Iverson. Let's see if we can. This is it. And this is him getting passed by Case of Beer, I believe. I might have to find this in the future for you guys. I apologize.
We are seeing it in that's real-time speed, ladies and gentlemen. These cars.
Yeah, that's how fast that happens, right?
Speedway.
That is how fast that happens. Let's see what went wrong here with Iverson. Here we go. Exiting and spin the exit of this corner. Oh, the dog leg just upsets him, just like what we saw with Medina. Here's what I want to see, Mean Gene. Let's ride on board with him, and let's see what it looks like from his perspective, how quick this happens.
Everybody taking this opportunity to come into the pits also at this time. Whoa, he's going to get that cone. He's going to get the cone. He missed the cone.
Wow, that was a scary moment. And then here comes Mata. Oh, God, don't. And he's good. Scary moment for everyone involved. Luckily,
and
we're
Bobby
good.
Dodson also got to be a little nervous.
Yeah. Fun moment for all involved. Good news for Jose Medina, who only lost 2 laps, like I said, on that previous incident. So now only down 1. Awesome news for Funky Cole Medina making his second appearance here. But Buddy Sully now in the lead in my scoring, Mean Gene. What do you got?
Well, let's keep watching as they rotate around to see where they figure it out. I see Sully coming out. He is going by Cook. Cook letting him by. Perhaps he beat him off of the pits. So we're going to have to see. But I do see Sully falling in behind the 26 of Smalley. We'll have to find out once that pace car gets out and they start to grid up behind the pace car to see exactly who's in the lead. Those might be lap cars, I think, up there in front, though.
trying to figure out what could have happened with Mata here. Car looks healthy, and there goes the leader. Those, I think you're right. Those are likely lap cars. Let me just make sure I didn't miss anything here. Mean Gene, no, the Calamity. No, Michael Mata should
really
be fine.
exciting.
Oh, he pit early. Did Michael Mata pit in a closed pit? Oh, he had just done a green flag pit stop, Mean Gene.
And he came out, and his welcome was Tony Iverson trying to keep it straight.
It was. Okay, so Michael in the 16, still in the lead lap. Great news for him. But in terms of track position, that could not have gone worse.
Looks like he's running 12th right now as they are rotating round. We'll have to see exactly where he lands. At the moment, we're showing 16 cars on the lead lap. Austin Marrow, Jose Medina looking like they're a lap down. Hunter Hall 2 laps down. And unfortunate day for Jay Dwayne running in that 0-3 as I see him 41 laps down, and we're only 49 laps into this event. He must have had something go bad for him quickly. Could have been a disconnect. I didn't see a wreck or an opportunity for a caution, so I'm leaning more towards technical difficulties.
Right, nor did I agree. So that wow, interesting sequence there, and to make matters not a ton worse, but certainly not better for Mata in the 16. When he does that green flag pit stop, he's not going to pit again, right? With these guys who now get to pit under caution, not lose track position. He did get that extra lap, which it's just a lap, but it's a lap nonetheless of at speed lap time. It's not ideal, but if anyone can recover from that and still win this race, it's him. As we see as the pace car pulls off in that bizarre pit lane and lets these guys go about a solid half a lap before we go green. But getting ready to go green, Case of Beer and Sally, 2 of our long-run dominant drivers in the front row.
You know, we're going to have to keep an eye on Michael Mata. This is exactly what happened to him last week. And when he was trying to make his way up through the pit, that's when the caution occurred. And so for him, that looks like our restart right there. Yeah, Buddy Sully, strong jump in that 21 as he gets back up into that preferred lane. And he quickly builds a second, 1.1 second lead. Jonathan Casevier, Kenneth Redding are behind them. Joe Volpus, Matthew Fritz, Colonel Sanders, Jay Stinson, David Owens, Tony Iverson, Bobby Dodson, your top 10.
Iverson recovering from that. I'm assuming uses fast repair. If not, a great recovery for him, already up to 9th place. As you see him on the outside of David Owens there. Man, what a luxury it is to have track position at these races, because these restarts from like 9th on back are absolute insanity, and they are not easy. But these guys are doing a great job navigating it, as you see tons of intense racing mid-back.
Iverson, Stinson, Owens all bunched together. Iverson made use of the outside lane. Owens really cut on the inside to get a couple of spots, pushing himself up into 9th, but you can see how quickly he loses speed to those cars that were on the outside. I'm wondering how many of these guys actually took tires. A lot of 14-second pit stops down there. So I think we might have seen some tire action in the pits under caution there. Right now, though, that 21 of Sully, he's got it down to 0.6 of a second, but Redinger, he is fast as lightning, trying to shut it down. Jonathan Casevier, Joe Volpus, Matthew Fritz, that's your top 5.
Yeah, Redinger will be a fun one to watch on this run, solely because he didn't qualify well today, and he had to spend a lot of that first run working his way through the field. But this time he had the track position, spared little time getting past Case of Beer, and has moved his way into 2nd place. And now it's just him and Sally holding him up from his 3rd win in this series. And look at that entry speed going into turn 3 and 4. Clearly tons of speed in that 24 car, doing a great job reeling in Sally. And we did see he also was one of the guys who had pretty good long run speed.
In the back of the field, we can see Michael Mata trying to make it up. He's in a battle with Bobby Dodson and Jax Duvall, but Mata just cannot find that speed with that dirty air, as he is a full 3.5 seconds, 4 seconds now, back 5 seconds. It's just falling back further and further. 3 seconds now. So we'll see what he can do as he's battling in the back of the field, trying to make his way back up. But it's Buddy Sully right now. He is your leader. Kenneth Redinger is in 2nd. He's closed that gap to 0.2 seconds. Wonderful racing back here. We're going to keep an eye on that 16 hoping that he can make moves to find his way back up into the front. That car in front of him, Bobby Dodson, he took the pole last year here. He's a fast car as well. So these fellas might be in the back racing for 11th and 12th, but they have that 88 Lewis directly ahead of them. That's that 10th place position where the points really begin. Going to go back up to the front. You can see Joe Volpus running in 4th, trying to chase him down. Those top 5 cars very close together. Who's that cutting on the inside?
That's Fritz making a crazy move to the bottom. That was awesome. That sometimes works. I think he was 3 wide before that, so that's probably why he made that and why he was so far down the track, as you see how bad it's affecting his exit speed. But yeah, I think we're also just seeing what I brought up a second ago, track position, track position, track position. That is so important today, because I think what it really compounds your issues is having to battle through this field and destroying your tires doing so. It can really, really hurt you and hurt your ability to make passes later in a run, as we're seeing here. Even Redinger, look how much he's probably close. Yeah, I believe he should close the gap to Sally. That is Sally's passing. I apologize. He just passed Sally just like that. As you can see, that early run that Redinger had to go through really hurt him, and Sally clearly had something happen to him, still trying to recover here. Let's see if we can find out what happened to him to let that pass happen so quickly, I should say. I'm assuming he's getting loose at a 3 again. Here we go. Here's our pass for the lead.
Redinger cuts down on the inside, looks strong. Case of beer directly behind him. I just think Redinger's got that car dialed in. Not a lot you can do when the 24 is running like that. Case of beer also might be stealing a little bit of that air.
And we got a caution, Mean Gene. We got a caution on the track, don't we? Let's see if I can do a better job finding it this time. Oh yes, there it is. Looks like we got the 25 of Sanders in this one. Let's see what went wrong. Oh, this one may have been big. Oh, in case a beer gets around on exit, causes a little bit of a chain reaction there. But let's take a look at what went wrong with case of beer. Uh-oh. Let's go a little bit further back, Mean Gene, if you want to break this one down for us.
I see the 21 getting awful close right there. Let's keep an eye on that.
Maybe made him nervous, but around he goes.
Comes back up. Oh, wow.
Wow.
Heart attack time right there for Fritz.
And he didn't even get the worst of it. Sanders did, avoiding him. So unfortunate for Sanders. As you see right there.
You see that 25 of Jack Sanders comes down, hits the wall, trying to avoid that. And then he comes blindly back up onto the track, almost killing Jack Duvall. Yeah. That's always exciting.
And Stinson, it looks like barely avoiding that one. Let's see what this looks like from Stinson's POV. Oh boy.
Oh yeah. Oh. And then he follows.
Wow.
He follows right into the wall there. That's
well done, Mr. Stinson. Wow. That was good. All right. So here we are under caution. Who do you think is going to pit here, Mean Gene?
That is going to be curious. We're going to keep a close eye and go to that. I'm on that blimp view myself, just so I can keep an eye. We see some of these cars going around the outside. There is your lucky dog. That looks like Medina. Is that going to put him back on the lead lap?
Yes, I think unless Mero got a piece of that, I think it was Mero who was a lucky dog, and that may have already occurred, which is why we're seeing that. Unless you have something that shows you the lucky dog on your end, do you?
No, you are correct. I'm watching right now the 28 of Austin Merrill. He is zipping around the track to get his lucky dog back. We could see that wonderful blimp view. And the pace car is leading him around. And your leader right now, Kenneth Redinger, he's won 2 races in a row. He's only led 4 laps, so it's good to see him lead some laps. You want to see your series leader out front. And that's exactly what we're seeing. We are on lap 63. That is where it goes down. And Kenneth Redinger, congratulations. He is going to take that point for leading at the halfway mark.
Wow, good for Redinger getting his first stage of the win, and now is probably a better time than ever, Mean Gene. Walk us through these speed stats that tell a story about fastest laps, which is the amount of laps that you've led essentially where you were the fastest car in the track that lap. So it kind of tells a fun story about long run speed and short run speed and how fast you are throughout the run, and then just laps led overall. Who's sticking out to you?
Well, unfortunately, the fastest car on the track seems to be David Cook, and I'm showing him right now 2 laps down. He put that 27.4 out there, which was a really hot lap, 0.2 of a second faster than everybody else. But currently, Cook finds himself in the back, 2 laps down.
Yeah,
the other cars.
With David Cook?
Not really sure.
All looks normal, but 2 laps is considerable.
Got to wonder, though. Cars were thinking about making pits. Perhaps he did jump into the pits prior to that.
Potentially.
And then just...
That also lines up with an on-track incident during green if we go off what happened to Jose earlier. Very interesting. But it looks like none of our leaders pit, Mean Gene.
It's a conspiracy. They know.
It is.
They know when you're going to pit. Yeah, so we're looking right now. Top 12 not pitting. As we look down, we do see that Jax Duvall, he's running 13th. He did come into pit. He's on 3 laps on those tires right now for that pit stop. Jack Sanders as well. Austin Merrow, he did not pit, so he is your recipient. I see now their pace car is off as they do that strange half a lap. Green flag racing as Kenneth Redinger is going to lead him around the start-finish line. He's your leader. He stays high. Look at Vulpes cut down low, trying to take advantage. David Owens also going down low. Steve Lewis low as well, trying to take advantage, see if they can find some speed. And right behind Lewis, we can see the 16. He'd love to make his way back up.
3 wide going into 3 and 4. These guys are out of patience.
There's no reason to do it. They already had the halfway mark.
Wow, did you see Matta with that lane change? That was it. Oh, and we got big hits. That was enormous. Oh my goodness. Huge hits. Merrow, Medina. Oh, that should have been his lucky dog. That's so unfortunate for Medina. And I saw a car on his lid. It wasn't Stinson. Was it Duvall?
And Steve Lewis as well was involved in that hot mess.
Watch Duvall here, Mean Gene. It's going to be a wild ride.
Ouch.
Wow. Oh,
so Lewis,
hi, Jose.
Lewis got involved with Medina, I believe.
This is how you make new friends in a new league. Introduce yourself.
Poor Duvall as well, as he was driving and then just, hey.
There's Jose.
I'm upside down.
This does not look good. In the words of Ricky Bobby.
Let's go back. I want to see the in-car of Steve Lewis. Can we do an in-car of Lewis? I'm very curious to see. He seemed to be right in the heart of that. I'm not sure. I'd love to see what his wheel does.
You ask and you shall receive, Mean Gene. Let's do this.
So Lewis is on the inside. He's on the apron, and he comes up a little bit high. He goes back. All right, so the question is, did he get touched? Did he get touched, or did it just get loose? Because we've seen that apron down there on that, coming down on that dog leg. It's just bad luck for a lot of drivers.
Yep, and so we're looking at the 16 Armada. Nope, just the same thing we've seen all day, Mean Gene. That transition from the dog leg onto, I guess, kind of like the pit lane, essentially. It is really, really brutal. If you have a strong wheel, it rips the wheel out of your hands, or kind of does everything it can to do that. It doesn't feel great, and it can take you by surprise. I'm assuming, here's my guess, Mean Gene. I'm going to guess he has his wheel turned when he goes through the transition. Let's see. Yep, and that's the problem. You got to have the wheel straightened out through this transition point right here. Right there. Like when you go back there.
And there's no coming back.
There's not. And just the worst possible place for it to happen, because then he hits that wall that sometimes you can avoid and creates a massive, massive wreck that I'm sure he would have so much rather been the only car in that one. And nature of the beast, right? And there he is in the pits, and uh-oh.
Another thing about that, Zach, another thing about that, Steve just got new rig. He just got he switched over from the Logitech, and now he's running with the Fanatec. So I'm imagining it's a little bit more sensitive, and so he doesn't have quite that play that he used to have. So I think that's an adjustment he's making with that, and to be on that part of the track at that moment. Things are moving real fast, so that's unfortunate for Lewis, and even more so unfortunate for the other drivers that were caught up into that incident. I'll tell you who's not unfortunate, David Cook, who's suddenly going to be 1 lap down instead of 2, trying to make his way back up. As we look through the field, we can see the pace car right there. Kenneth Redinger is still your leader, and hey, it is David Owens on the outside. That guy has been charging all day. He's been down low and really making it work on that apron. He's kept that car about as straight as you can here at Phoenix. Now he's on that outside. It'd be interesting to keep an eye on him on this restart and see if he's going to dive that number 11 Ford to get better position. Jay Stinson in second. Matthew Fritz, he's been strong, pushing up all day into fourth. Buddy Sully, he is in fifth. And look at this. Michael Nada has made his way back up. He's got that 16 bow tie back into that 6th position. He's ready to push this thing.
Yeah, and real quick, I think that's actually totally what happened there with Lewis. I can tell you when I got back from Watkins Glen with my new Fanatec, that broke my keyboard because of all the force feedback, and it made my keyboard fall off my cockpit. So it's for real, and it can happen, and it can catch you when you least suspect it, as we're getting ready to go green here. And yeah, like you said, look at David Owens coming out of nowhere here to put his hat on the table and give his shot the lead. That guy has been so sneaky in this league all season, really just coming at the end when it matters. It's really about this time, like the past 2 or 3 races where we've seen Owens come up front, and the first time last week lead laps, and again here looking to lead some more laps. But David Owens and that Denny Hamlin scheme looking
top
good.
4 cars are the top 4 in points.
Green.
Green and Redinger is in the lead. You can see Owens holds his position. Look at Tony Iverson and Buddy Sully in that 21 cut down low. Stinson in third, Owens second. The 24 Redinger is your leader. Look at Fritz on the outside. Top 4 cars are your top 4 drivers in
Fritz
position
and
as well.
Yeah, Fritz and Mata making it outside just work. That was awesome. They just absolutely ripped the top there. Had the guts to do it on cold tires. So hard to do with this track. It's so slick. But they clearly have this place on lock, and they got some positions for it. And just look at this. So many different lines, so many different choices, and everyone's taking all of them, and so much less give and take than we had 20, 30 laps ago.
Hey, they might have this thing on lockdown, but Joe Volpus is telling them that they better check their keys. He's one of the top drivers that did pit. He's only run 5 laps on those. Him, Smalley, they're back in 10th and 11th. But let's see as this thing unveils. The top 9 drivers, they've got 26 laps on those cars. Smalley, he had a 33-second pit. I know he put 4 fresh ones on there. Volpus, 14.3. He might have done 2, he might have done 4. But 2 tires fresh is better than 4 tires wet on this track. Strong racing right now. We got that in-car of Joe Volpus as he's trying to make his way around these guys. He and Smalley, they have fresher tires, and he's just going to have to wait as these tires get worn out and see if they can actually start to make their way around these more loose cars. Right now, though, it is Redinger in your lead. David Owens, Matthew Fritz under the 11, looking strong as well, as we can see some side-by-side racing right here. Looking strong at Phoenix. This is lap 74 of 125 laps. Those cars that didn't pit, they've only got 30 laps of fuel left, roughly. Whereas Volpus, he could push it if there's another caution and not need to pit, especially with those fresher tires. These strategies are going to be fascinating as we see these laps tick off here at Phoenix. MRL Racing live on YouTube, courtesy of Monday Night Mayhem.
Yeah, I love what you brought up too. That actually completely went. Oh, and around goes Smalley. Oh man, Smalley goes around. That will likely be a caution, and it is. We got a caution with 50 to go. But man, that kills what I was about to say, Mean Gene, because that was going to be so fascinating. We had Smalley, Mero, Volpus, and Sanders on 20-lap newer tires than the rest of the field. And I will say they were making it through the field a little bit slower than I expected, but I think it was going to catch up sooner rather than later. And they were in the catbird seat, and that caution, I'm not sure, I could be doing some math wrong, but I'm going to think that's going to kill everything for those 4. So let's also talk about real quick. Let's see. Let's talk about
they take that chance.
Yeah, that to me, especially with the lack of progress you just saw with those 20-lap newer tires, you absolutely stay out. That's a great point, Mean Gene. And what this also does is it puts David Cook. We got David Cook back on our lead lap.
55 laps would put them right at 123.
Okay.
So if they could just push 2 extra laps, so they might be getting field track position right here. It's not going to be Merrill because he was the guy that slipped. So the first car that's not needing to pit right now, that has fresh tires and a full tank of gas, could be Joe Volpus. We'll just have to keep an eye on the 07 and see exactly what he's going to do. But right now, he stays out on that track.
And I liked your point too about like the how close we are to the finish. What you could have also done, and maybe they just didn't want to risk it based on pit roads time and how long it could take. But you probably could have just topped up off on gas and still gotten that track position and still came out where Volpus is right now. But beggars can't be choosers. Now you're in the top 3. You got yourself a relatively fresh set of tires. I wouldn't be too scared about the guys behind you based on how much difficulty these fast guys just had getting through 20-lap older tires. So I'd be feeling pretty good. I'd be looking out for that 71 back on the lead lap after they're getting the lucky dog. Now, finally, I think Jose might be able to get his as we see him there with a little bit of damage from Jax saying hello to him when he landed on top of him. But yeah, this race with these 4 guys taking tires with just as different than the rest of the field really just turned this race upside down in a way that's going to be really fun for us to watch.
Yeah, we're going to definitely see where these guys rotate around as they grid up behind the pace car, but we can see a lot of fellas did take that opportunity to take a pit. David Owens came into the pits, Kenneth Redinger, Matthew Fritz, Michael Mata. Basically, the top 2, Volpus and Sanders, choosing to stay out. And then after that, you're going to have the next 9 cars pit. David Cook did not pit, allowing him to find himself back on that lead lap. Austin Merrill, Mason Smalley, that is all the cars on the lead lap at this point. Got 14 cars lead lap, and Jose Medina continues to fight for his right to party on the lead lap.
Yes, sir.
But he finds himself 1 down and trying to get back out there. But right now, it's Joe Volpus, and the question is, he's 12 laps deep on these tires. Under green, he could probably get another 43. That would take him to the end. We were only looking at another 45. The question is, can he pilot this thing on slick tires the rest of the way? Jack Sanders, 2 less laps on his, so he's thinking he can make it to the end. People to keep an eye on, though, David Owens, Kenneth Redinger, that's your 4th and 5th position cars. They didn't bother pitting. I'm sorry, they did take advantage of the pit, so they're out there.
Yeah, look out for them.
With fresh gas. Owens only had a 5.2-second pit stop. He only took gas. Redinger, Fritz, Stinson, 14-second pit stops. I imagine they probably took 2 tires.
Yeah, I'm assuming a mixed bag of strategies here. We're going to see a lot of different approaches towards this. And if anyone can make this work, it's Volpus. I talked about it in my first broadcast of this league. This guy's the best at stretching fuel and stretching tires and using strategy to win races. If anyone can do it, it's him. And again, I think he can do it. I think we're going to see him have no trouble keeping this lead, Mean Gene. But he's got some hungry drivers behind him.
All right, so it is Volpus. He's got Colonel Sanders, series defending champ, outside of him. Volpus leads him into the Geico restart zone. And look at that jump inside lane as we see Volpus and Owens and Fritz take off. Iverson also down there low, outside lane, struggling as the 25 of Sanders falls all the way back into 5th position. 24 of the 24 also caught up in that as Redinger finds himself a victim of that outside lane slow start.
Hectic restart. Yeah, it's Sanders. You're seeing the other car, or the other side of the card, of staying out and how bad that can be on old tires. Sanders has some of the oldest tires in the field right now, and you saw how that immediately caught up to him there. 13-lap old tires versus 5-lap old tires that were all on yellow. He was getting eaten up, and one mistake, and it just snowballs.
Well, I'll tell you what, Iverson and Owens side by side, they got real close. Iverson definitely had to make an adjustment to not make contact with that left rear bumper of Owens. So we can see some gentlemen coming out of Iverson. He finally takes that position over with that nice clean driving. Really good work by Iverson to avoid the wreck and still make that pass. Caution is on the track.
Yeah, caution on the track, and wow, one thing that stuck out to me too before we can look at this caution is the last thing that we saw from or the only car willing to use the dogleg there, Tony Iverson. So that was definitely interesting. Was it Steve Lewis in this one? Looks like he may have been involved. Oh, Mata around. Uh-oh. The 16 on Mata. This guy has had an eventful day, hasn't he?
Here we
go.
The same thing happened to him last week. This guy was blazing fast. He got caught up in traffic, and then I don't know. You can't say he's overdriving the car because this is a tough track, and every driver here has said the tires are a problem. But Mata is trying to make up track position. He's stuck in dirty air, and we can just see him get loose right there. But it's still early, Zach. This guy's not out of it.
No, not whatsoever. And I hate to talk about myself on these, but if there's one thing that I'm the worst at is races that I control when I know I have race-winning speed. And then for one reason or another, for Mata there, I believe is that he took tires when others didn't, so he ended up further in the field than others did. You get impatient, and you know you have the speed, and you know the best time to get those spots is on those restarts. And it's so easy to make mistakes and also not take dirty air into account, something that you weren't dealing with it anywhere near as much until this point. You only had 1 to 2 cars in front of you, if any, earlier in this race, and now you got 15. It changes everything, and it's a weird thing that you have to figure out as you learn how to win races often. And we all know how good Mata is, and like you said, he can recover from this no problem. But yeah, it's an easy mistake to make, and it's one that I would consider, me personally, my weakest point is my inability to work through the field once I lose my track position and lose my control of a race. And to just make mistakes like that, it happens so easy. But man, we got some crazy racing happening up front, don't we, Mean Gene? We got guys on all different types of strategies. Volpus able to maintain the lead there, but we saw, like we said, the other side of the coin there with Sanders, who just got eaten alive, started that restart second, and now finds himself all the way in 6th.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, a couple of people real happy to see that caution come out. That's Jax Duval, who was the lucky dog. He'll be running in 15th, but he is back on that lead lap. And once again, Jose Medina, always a bridesmaid, never a bride, still fighting. He is going to get back on that lead lap if there's another caution, as Steve Lewis 2 laps down. Medina, the only car 1 lap down. He'd love to make himself a factor in this race. And the second person after Duval who's real happy has got to be Joe Volpus. He's counting backwards right now as far as his gas mileage. 19 laps on those tires. Jack Sanders back in 6th. He's got 17 laps, 2 less. Both those guys really hoping to see this. If I'm Sanders, though, I might throw this strategy out the window on another caution. He might find himself going backwards now that he's caught in this field of cars that are all on 8 laps less tire wear than he.
I couldn't agree more with Mean Gene. When it comes to a point like this and you only got 40 to go, you can just throw everything in the trash that you were trying to work on earlier and just do what's best to win your race. And yeah, Medina, never the bride, right? Oh man, but again, props to him sticking with it. And better time than now, Jose Medina driving a car sponsored by one of the broadcast's new sponsors, Daily Drivers Inc. Daily Drivers Inc. is an automotive lifestyle company based out of Southern California. They do car shows in California, Arizona, Nevada, and Texas. Their next car show is on November 2nd. It's called Texas Stampede, and they'll also be announcing their Southern California Winter Car Show, which is their biggest show of the year, in the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned for that and get your newest and best car accessories and apparel at dailydriversinc.com, and stay tuned at their events at ddievents.com. Super happy to have Daily Drivers Inc. as a sponsor here at MRL, and we got a ton of new sponsors that we are excited to show you guys in the coming weeks. And with sponsors means free stuff, right, Mean Gene? Gotta love free stuff, and that's what I get from our sponsors.
Hey, my
all here with the
favorite
MRL
kind of
Cup
stuff
Series.
is free stuff.
I love free
That's my
stuff.
favorite kind of stuff. My favorite beer, free beer. Joe Volpus is going to lead him around into that Geico restart zone. Iverson gives him a bump. Really slow rolling in Volpus right there. Look at the jump he and Iverson get. They're both down low, and then they come up into that preferred lane. Really tactical move by Volpus to get that long lead, but Iverson hugging that apron. He is fast as lightning. Matthew Fritz on the outside in that 48 to 24 of Redding, and then you can see David Owens. He's cutting under the 24. Good run by Fritz. Nice racing. You see a 3 single file and then a little bit of side by side with David Owens trying to make it work. But right now, Zach, the story is that 07, the Vulpes, can he push this thing to the limit, get that clean air, and ride this tank? Caution on the track again. What is happening out there?
Oh man, and did Jose finally get his? I think he did, Mean Gene, but let's see what the caution was. Oh no, was it Mata again? Mean Gene, what happened in this one? Oh, okay, this one may not have been his fault. I'm not saying that it's easy out here or anything for Mata. So let's see what happened here. Here we go.
25. Let's see what's happening.
Oh, okay, so that he was not, so it's something with, yeah, I think you're right. Marrow there. In the 28, is it? But let's see what happened here with Marrow to start this little issue. And my guess, Mean Gene, the dogleg transition. Let's see.
Dogleg transition. Nobody likes the dogleg.
Yup.
Oh.
And wow, that looked like netcode, which is so annoying.
Look at Steve Lewis back there. You know, he's breathing heavy. He's been involved in some incidents.
I know, you know, Steve Lewis is like, come on, what is it about? Yep, and Steve Lewis got to Ross Chastain, so did Duvall. Ross Chastain that wall a little bit. Not too bad of a caution. Mana will likely lead to see another day. But man, let's talk about Tony Iverson real quick, Mean Gene. Let's look at some stats about Tony Iverson. Yeah, the dominant Undertaker, right? Let's look at these stats real quick. This man, and we talked about this a little bit earlier. So when we look at fastest laps, and that's, again, the amount of times that he was the fastest car in the track, and he has done that double the amount of times as anyone else in this league. David Owens in second place there with 32, but then laps led. I mean, Iverson clearly slipping up because his 4 times advantage is no longer there. It's only, I don't know, 3.8 now. So clearly signs of weakness is right for Mean Gene from Iverson here, but when you look at our standings, and this is not to take anything from Redinger, because finishing those races is, you know, more important, but our speed stats are telling an interesting story, and we're seeing it again. Can he finish this one today? What do you think, Mean Gene?
It is going to be really fascinating to see. We talked about Vulpes being on older tires this whole time, but now suddenly the other cars have put 14, 15 laps of wear on their tires. They're going to start getting slick as well. I think the real question just becomes fuel. How long can these guys stick it out with the fuel as they try to push their car to that final lap 125? We're looking at 33 laps remaining. Vulpes with 25 that he's put on there, that's 58. They said they could make 50 to 55, and we've seen a lot of yellow flags out here. So Vulpes, I think he's in that window right now, and as long as he stays in the lead, I don't think he's going to pit that car. Tony Iverson, he's had the wiggles. We got that inside view that we saw earlier, and we could see how that car was struggling with him. But that was in a later run on those tires. So if anything's going to happen with Tony Iverson, Zach, I think he's going to have to make it happen in these first 10 laps.
Yeah, I totally agree. That it's the best time to pass, clearly, and not to mention how quick these cautions are coming. Every caution that comes out is a gift wrapped specifically just for Joseph Vulpes in that 07 car. He wants he wants these runs to be as short as possible. He doesn't want to have to think about fuel. And when you're under caution, you are saving considerable amounts of fuel that can really benefit you later in the race. So all these, I guess you can kind of say, cons that we talked about earlier with the Vulpes strategy are going to go away more and more with every caution we get. So that, paired with how short these runs are, I could not agree more with what you just said, Mean Gene. If Iverson wants to get this and he wants to get this lead, he's got to do it as quick as he possibly can.
And once he gets that clean air, I think he can be the one in that driver's seat. Right now, though, Vulpes is your race leader. He's got Tony Iverson outside that 48 of Matthew Fritz on that inside lane, Kenneth Redinger fourth, and there is David Owens in fifth. He'd love to get up into this. Buddy Sully, David Cook, Jay Simpson, Jonathan Quesabir, and grats to Jose Medina back on that lead lap. Joe Vulpes is going to take him into the Geico restart zone, and let's see if he slow rolls this thing or drops the hammer. Look at that jump, Zach.
Man, the restarts by Vulpes all day have been brilliant, and it's just been so rough for the mid-pack, like fourth back, to deal with these restarts and to just the mess they have to deal with afterwards. As we see Vulpes nearly check out in this field, let's look at the action mid-pack. There's tons of it.
Fritz and Owens both making a move to get by Tony Iverson. Iverson pushed back into third. Owens losing track position underneath. Has to let off and not make contact with Iverson. So right now, Tony Iverson, he's loose.
Iverson loose again, and around he goes into Owens. Oh, it happened again, Mean Gene. And the big hit with Jax. That's going to be it for Jackson. Oh, Medina misses one. Thank God for Medina. But oh my gosh, Iverson can't catch a break in that dog leg. I said the last run. Remember that? I was like, he's the one who has the guts to take it. And then he does again, and it doesn't work out for him.
Who's throwing bananas out there on that part of the track, Zach? What's going on?
Somebody. And I was wrong. I'm apologize. That was the extra 4. Another problematic spot, and that thing, at that point, it's wrong. Or, I mean, it's already around. And we've seen so many people try to correct that and fix it, and that's been worse. But, I mean, what do you do in the moment in the car, right? Like, you're not thinking about that. You think you can save it, but let's watch how quick this thing snaps, specifically the other way when he realizes he's loose. So he knows he's loose, trying to fix it, and gone. He didn't even really change the wheel input at all, Mean Gene. Oh.
And poor Jax Duvall just comes in and finds himself victimized as well.
Yeah, let's
Steve
watch
Lewis
that.
was driving by when that spun. I hope that the game doesn't give him net code, but Lewis would be the recipient of the lucky dog. He's 2 laps down. He'd love to get back on that lead lap.
Whoa. I think Smalley got a piece of Iverson, Mean Gene. That I think is why that Iverson took. Oh, it's not. Yeah, I think it was. Watch this on board here.
We're with Mason Smalley.
Nope, it wasn't Smalley. I apologize. It was Sanders. It was Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
The other
he got
awesome
up into
looking
the wall right there.
car. Yep. And again, like that Iverson car was unpredictable. Around he goes, and so you're gonna see him kind of tap his front end, I think. Yep, a rear end. Yep. Oh, brutal hit for Sanders. So that one affected, yeah, as you see, quite a few cars in the pits actually. Vulpes not. A lot of cars coming for repairs.
Steve Lewis does get a lap back. That will put him 1 lap down. So 16 cars on the lead lap. Steve Lewis 1 lap down. After that, 3 cars are way downtown. Hunter Hall, Kevin Brower, Jay DeWayne, way off the lap, way off of the lead lap. Unfortunate for those 3 drivers. So 16 cars now. Looks like Jax Duvall is going to fall a lap down, as he's definitely going to need some repairs. He's still in the pit. That is the 84 Toyota of Jax Duvall, still in the pit receiving those repairs. I can hear the hammers, the sawzalls, and the duct tape hard at work.
Yep, and let's look at our standings again real quick mid-race, and let's see the implications that we have on store here. Vulpes, someone who's been here for, I believe, all but 1 race, if not all of them, someone that you'd expect to see in this top 9 here. Likely going to put his hat in the ring after this race, and we'll probably see his name. But then we see our points leader, Redinger, again, 4th place right now, ready to strike, ready to do the same thing he's done all season. At the very least, he's going to come out of here protecting that lead. But then we have our 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th guys still in this thing outside of Iverson, whom he's on track, and I'm assuming that's going to be fixed damage. I'd be surprised if he hadn't used his fast repair at this point. I could be wrong. But Iverson, at the very least, isn't out of this one yet. All of our big, heavy hitters in the points still in the mix here today.
And you did talk about Joe Vulpes, and I can confirm. Vulpes, this is his 4th start of the season here in race 5. Vulpes is the top point accumulator of drivers that are a lap down. And he finds himself 11 behind Steve Lewis for that 12th position. So Vulpes would love to get that win in your end situation. Even if he doesn't, he's a pretty consistent guy. If he can avoid those incidents, he'll find himself up in the front, and especially here on the track where he has won in the past. You know, Joe Vulpes,
this is
last year's winner.
This is his wheelhouse. He knows how to get it done here. Going back-to-back would be awesome as the pace car pulls off. Here we go, Mean Gene. We're going to have about 25, 26 left to go in this last restart. And as we can tell, anything can happen, and we are probably far from done with the mayhem. That's why this league is named that, right?
Let's see what happens to Fritz here on this restart. Vulpes has been destroying people. Slow starts, quick starts. Fritz is rolling it good. Good timing right there by Fritz. I think that's the least amount that we've seen that outside fall off. Volpus cuts down low, takes David Cook with him. Fritz trying to maintain that speed. Another great start by Volpus. You can see the 24 Redinger also on the outside. David Cook, odd man out, hugging that apron. You can see Smalley, case of beer, Michael Mata, he's back up there running in 7th. Buddy Solly, Chase Simpson, Austin Merrill, that's your top 10. Right now, though, you can see that gas closing. Strong run by Cook on the inside. Ooh, almost touched. Let's see what happens with Volpus. He's burning those tires right in that low lane, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I totally agree. Volpus, you could tell, was not super happy with that exit. He did not get the run he wanted out of 4 there. And yeah, great job by Fritz, because not only is Volpus and really any car in the front row in first place destroying second place on these restarts, but we can tell restart after restart that top lane second place is not where you want to be. So just a compounding issues is Volpus nicks the wall there. Like you said, me and Gene, those tires catching up to him sooner rather than later, or he's just driving the absolute crap out of that thing, trying to keep the 71 and 48 behind him. But excellent job by Fritz. I know he finds himself in 3rd place right now, 1 spot behind where he was when this restart started. But wow, and Mata again behind him, and Fritz almost synchronized loosing right there, right? That was a scary moment for 2 of our fastest drivers.
Mata right now with Case of Beer and the 13 of Tony Iverson. All 3 of those cars have been wiggling, and they're all very close to each other. You got to hope we don't see some magnet issue. 3 wide right behind them, as we can see Bobby Dodson, Austin Merrow, Jay Stinson, all together. David Owens bringing up the rear end of that tight group. He's right off the side of Dodson. You can see him go high. Then Steve Lewis, Jax Duvall as well. Part of that, Duvall only 1 lap down. Duvall and Lewis are racing for that lucky dog opportunity. We're going to keep an eye on that. Right now, close action though, as you can see Iverson and the 16. Both these guys have led this race, Mata and Iverson, and now they're back. They're battling for 7th and 8th place.
Sounds like a caution. Caution's out, me and Gene. And gonna say Iverson and Mata, man, they've been in incidents all day, and they've had some self spins, but it's not stopping them with their confidence and with their aggression. Those 2 were going through the field quick, and they were doing it together. But here is the caution we just got. The 25 of Jack Sanders looking to get loose out of 4. I mean, how many times have we seen this, me and Gene?
It's the spot. I really think Donkey Kong is out there just throwing. Donkey Kong is throwing banana peels, and somebody else has got a go-kart shooting turtle shells.
Did I not mention that? I'm not sure if we brought it up, but I'm producing my first show today, and a cool little mod I found is I'm actually, as a producer, able to throw banana peels out there. So I thought the exit of 4 and the entry of the dogleg would be a fun spot for that. It's worked out well.
So. Well, I think Volpus is going to owe you a little bit if that's the case, because Volpus, 20 laps to go. Volpus is still holding on, but David Cook only has 21 laps on those tires. He's running second, David Cook in that 71. Got to keep an eye on him. Behind we then see a bunch of cars with 28 laps. Mata with 15, and hey, Tony Iverson only got 9 on his. David Owens, him and Medina also pitted late, back in 13th and 14th. And now we can see Austin Merrow forced into the pits. Yes. Hey, you know, at this point, I'm taking tires. Why not?
Me too,
if I had another set, you got 4 sets of tires. Maybe you've saved them. Wouldn't it be nice to have freshies in those last 19 or 18 laps?
Could not agree more. It'll be fun to see what happens here. We're going to take a quick break, me and Gene, and we'll be back before we go green.
I love it. Great time to take a break, ladies and gentlemen. If you have the opportunity, go ahead and take you one as well, as we see these cars making their way around the track, just following that car. 20 laps to go here in Phoenix. Amazing racing so far. And right now we see last year's champion, last year's winner of Phoenix, Joe Volpus. He is currently your lead leader, but he's on 17 laps older tires. So it's going to be really curious to see if he can hold off that charge from David Cook. And by the way, who's had the best lap here today? That would be David Cook. So David, he knows how to make a car move, but the problem is he's got to move Joe Volpus if he thinks he's going to get into the lead. Joe Volpus, he is last year's winner, and he would love to get his first win here in Season 3. Real question is, what's Volpus going to do to Cook on this restart? We have seen Volpus abuse the outside lane car by slow starting, slow rolling, quick jumping. It seems like it's a choose your own destiny book, and Joe Volpus just keeps picking the right page, forcing that car to quickly lose positions. We've seen him do it to Mata. We watched him do it to Tony Iverson.
We have.
And now look where Iverson is after all of that, back in 13th place. But the one thing Iverson can say is he's got the freshest tires out of the top 11.
Absolutely, and that will likely play a big role as we have 1 to green now, and we have about a 16-lap shootout to the green. I'm sorry, to the checkered. Yeah, so many different stories going here. Volpus has clearly made his bed, and he's sleeping in it, and you can't blame him. Track position, how much were we talking about that earlier in this race? It's been so vital, and he's done such a great job of protecting it, and I'm seeing so much, I guess, coming and going behind him. We have Cook, Fritz, Redinger, Sally, Smalley, Mata, Iverson in the next 7 cars. We've probably seen a different version or different order of those cars in every possible example besides Volpus just leading. So it just goes to show how much that clean air is playing a role here, and let's see how it can make it work to his advantage here, and let's see how many more yellows and crazy moments we're going to get.
Well, you know, Jax Duval would love to see a caution. He's 1 lap down right now. He would be the lucky dog recipient. Joe Volpus on that inside lane is going to lead him around to that Geico restart zone. And let's see how well Cook can time this.
Another brilliant restart for Volpus.
Unbelievable. Looking at how quickly he does it. And they're going to be 3 wide. Look at the 21 cut down low under Fritz. He doesn't care. Cook gets a strong run on the outside. Redinger now the odd man out 3 wide. Fritz on the inside lane 21. Buddy Sully. Contact with Fritz, who keeps it straight, doesn't crash his car into Mata, and the 24 of Redinger manages to keep his on the line. Mata goes wide, loses some positions, but I think we're going to see him make it up. Right now, though, Joe Volpus, he's got 15 laps left. Can he continue to pilot this thing? Look at that run by Cook. Cook did run the fastest.
Oh, we got trouble. Iverson again. We got trouble in the back. Mean Gene, we got Iverson around again. And it was connected to or collected on the car.
Is that David Owens?
That's Hall. He also collected. And let's see if Owens. Oh, I think David Owens saw something I didn't see, Mean Gene. And wow, you took the words out of my mouth numerous times during that restart. We'll talk about that in a second. Let's see what happened here. Iverson just, I'm assuming that car is not anywhere close to healthy, and it's just doing things that don't make sense to him. Let's ride on board with Iverson, yeah?
Yeah, you showed us that inside view before, and we could see the wiggle. And once again, I don't know if it's confidence or just a setup. Wow.
Yeah, wow. I mean,
what do you do?
We've seen Iverson be so good all season, so I'm not going to go ahead and say that was just a misjudgment. I'm assuming that's damage on the car that we can't necessarily see. And that thing just snapped on entry. So what happened to Owens?
That's a Kyle Larson line. That's a Kyle Larson line.
And there's a reason why people think Kyle Larson, why Kyle Larson is so special. And Owens individually, completely unrelated, seems to get loose unless that 2 of Stinson, which I don't think he did, touched him. No, just unrelated. Owens also gets loose. Let's ride aboard with Owens as well and see what that felt like for him.
I bet his speed changed. I bet he saw the incident starting with Iverson on the outside. Let's watch that throttle meter. It looked like he let off a little bit, and that could make that the back end of those next-gen car kind of just shoot around on you, and that's not the spot to change your momentum.
You know what I think also may have happened to me and Gene? I think Iverson and Owens were racing each other right here out of the corner, the previous corner, because we're not really taking that super into account. And I think they both overdrove the corner. They see each other side by side. They know how fast those 2 cars are, and I think they both overdrive, outside and inside. And that's what it looks like when those 2 cars overdrive that corner.
I don't know if he overdrove it as much as Dodson was just going at a much slower speed. And I think that forced Owens to slow his momentum. And when Owens' momentum slowed, the rear end of these next-gen cars just comes around. I'm an expert on overdriving a car, let me tell you. I just did it on Friday night, and that didn't look, the angle looked really good for Owens. I think the problem was that Dodson was just a little slower than him. And when you let off the throttle on one of these next-gen cars, especially in that spot where you've laid all those banana peels, I think bad things can happen.
Yep. Yeah. Again, and my banana peel strike again. But that's another exceptional point by you, Mean Gene. And just compound your point, Owens with 20 lap newer tires in the 32 of Dodson. So you're right. That entry speed was definitely way different. And you're right again about when you react to that. Oftentimes you make that reaction, you grab more of a handful of brake than you think you may have, or more than you feel like you had a choice to, and before you know it, that car is facing the wrong direction, and there's no saving these things. We probably said that 5 times today individually. There's no saving these next gens. I also want to talk about Vulpes on the restart real quick. He has been using that outside line on restarts up until the last restart to abuse this whole field. And I thought it was really, so another fun fact that we should have mentioned about this series, and all, to my knowledge, all MRL series, is only the leader gets lane choice. There's no choose cone in this league, but the leader can choose their lane. They can choose outside or inside. Vulpes had chose the outside every restart, to my knowledge, previous to the last one. On the inside, like he's doing again, he did the same thing. He might have even abused them better, because, again, we also saw Fritz get a great run on the inside on the restart before the one that Vulpes took the inside. So that was enough for Vulpes to try the inside, and he did an amazing job. And here we see him taking again. Vulpes just really just laying it all out on the table and saying, I can beat you guys on either lane on these restarts.
He only needs to beat him for 11 more laps, Zach. And we saw that one restart. He slow rolled that thing so hard, Iverson almost crashed into his back end. I mean, and then that pushed Iverson back, and now Tony Iverson finds himself laps down. Here we go, Vulpes into the restart.
Got to close that gap. Cook's got to close that gap on entry, and he didn't get
Look at that
quite side by side.
Cook stayed close, and Cook's on that higher line. Let's see what kind of run he can get. Can he keep up with Vulpes? What a jump by Vulpes, but Cook keeps it close. And hey, there's Matt Fritz and Kenneth Redinger, Michael Mata, the usual suspects. Look at Mata.
Oh, and around goes Lewis. We got another caution coming, Mean Gene. Lewis around. Oh.
Poor Steve Lewis. He just got back on the lead lap.
I don't have any banana peels here, so this will be a new one.
Ooh,
just 3 wide. It's going to be dirty air, right? And that snap, man, that snap. How crazy is that?
I think he's having growing pains with that wheel, to be honest with you. You know, when you jump on, you said earlier you jumped from the Logitech to the Fanatec, right, Zach?
I did. I jumped from the Logitech to the Thrustmaster, but it wasn't a direct drive. My first direct drive was the Fanatec, which is what I still have. And yeah, the transition, especially when you take into account the violence of it, right? It's jarring. It's very jarring, and I was lucky enough that I got to transition on tracks that were 1.5 miles. This is a brutal track to have to learn a new wheel. And let's just watch this thing snap around. Yeah, what's it gonna do? It's gonna go around. I mean, what do you do about that, Mean Gene?
Really painful.
Lewis will. I love the term "growing pains" they use, because Lewis will learn from this, and the reward on the other side is worth it for these direct drive wheels. They're hard to learn, but the speed that can be gained from them is worth these growing pains. But it doesn't make these moments any more fun.
Hey, I'll tell you what, Zach. We've got Gulf Coast Racing teammate of Joe Vulpes, David Owens, in the booth with David. Do I got you on the mic?
Yeah, I got you, boys.
All right, David, you're running 10th right now. We've seen you make your way up to the front of the field many times. You're running on 20-lap old tires. A lot of guys in front of you with 40 laps on them. You think you got something here in these last 8 laps?
I think so. We just got to stay out of trouble.
What about your boy Joe? You got any insight as to the strat he's running up there? I mean, I imagine at this point he's got that truck packed up, and they're just going to see what he can do, right?
Exactly. Yeah, he's just got to keep his eye on the restarts and keep it ahead of Mr. Cook there. He's recovered fairly nicely.
Man, he's abused these other drivers on the restart. That last one by Cook was about as close as we've seen somebody keep it. And Cook was making strong progress, almost took the lead before that wreck by Lewis. So that's something to keep an eye on. David Owens telling us that Joe Vulpes' strategy is going to be to ride this thing out. So we got it confirmed by a Gulf Coast teammate right there. David, good luck the rest of the way, bud. Keep it on that straight and narrow. You're in 10th. I'd love to see you close that gap on Redinger.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it, boys.
That was David Owens. He's in that number 11 Ford. He is second in points. He'd love to close that gap. Redinger with that 32-point lead. But Owens, don't count him out. You know, he's got fresher tires. He's got a friend of his on the inside of him right there, Austin Marrow. So they're going to be respectful, and we'll see just what he can do back in that position. But right now, Zach, I mean, David Cook, Kenneth Redinger, and Michael Nada, that is that's a murderer's row trying to chase down Joe Volpus.
Yeah, it is, and I got my eyes on the 16 Amada. That dude has been through everything. I mean, he's probably been through as much as he'll be through in the rest of this regular season in this one race, and he still finds himself with a good-looking car. I'm not seeing any damage on that thing in 4th place with 5 to go. I mean, that's who I got as my non-Joe Volpus pick, Mean Gene. Keep your eye on that 16. He's going to be ultra aggressive.
He's got 17 less laps on those tires than Volpus, and he's got about 7 laps as well. Michael Mata, though, 29 laps on his, so Mata's got the least amount of tire wear of the top 8.
Yeah,
so
considerably.
Mata and is looking good. Cook also. Let's see if Cook can have that same effect on this restart. This is the story right here. And if these
Volpus
boys will quit wrecking each other, Volpus is going to lead him into that go. Here we go. He's in that restart zone. He gets a good run, but Cook really responds. Cook goes down low with him. So does Redinger. A lot of action. Mata only one on the outside. Mata and Redinger side by side. Volpus goes high. Cook always forced to let off and not make contact. Let's see if he can hug it.
Volpus in the wall, though.
The wall.
And that's all that Cook needs to get a run. And what an awesome restart by Cook. He made sure he got that bottom. He had no interest in using the top, and that worked out perfectly. It couldn't have even gone any better with that little wall hit by Volpus, as Volpus wants to respond. Goes to the bottom. Volpus down the dog leg. Wow, this is great, Mean Gene.
Oh, he's having to let off to not go up high, and good racing by Volpus, keeping it clean. Mata behind him.
And Redinger loose in the wall.
Redinger makes contact. They keep it straight. Fritz behind him in 5th has to let off. So right now it's David Cook. Loves seeing this action behind him. The 7 of Volpus. Redinger keeps his position. Fritz in 4th. And Redinger in 4th. Fritz in 5th. This is insanity.
Exceptional save by Redinger to keep it straight, not ruin his race. But man, David Cook has been working out for him. But don't count out Volpus yet. He's been getting ultra aggressive. He's going to use whatever life is left in these tires to make that pass and get that lead back. He does not want to settle for 2nd place. And if there's anyone who doesn't want to settle for anything but first, it's that 16 Amada to the inside of Volpus. He's been the fastest car.
Caution on the track.
Caution is out. Oh. Take a breath, Mean Gene. Wow, I'm out of breath right now. Are you? Oh, Lewis and Owen.
And Lewis with serious contact right there.
So this. Oh, Lewis, no.
What?
Oh.
What? Okay, so I'm going to give you a multiple choice here.
Can't
Zach.
blame Fantech for that one, Mean Gene.
Here's your multiple choice, Zach. Steve Lewis's favorite cut of steak. Is it a ribeye, a porterhouse, or is it a T-bone?
Let's see. Based on this audio evidence right here, I'm going to assume that it's nothing but a T-bone.
Bless America. David Owens, how unfortunate. Owens had the strategy, and yet that car just keeps on wiggling, and then Lewis comes around and just manages to find the side of Owens. You know, that's going to be an interview. We're, of course, going to interview the leaders.
I'd be surprised if Owens doesn't make his way back here now. Okay, let's see how much time he actually... Oh, I mean, the wheels turn, Mean Gene. Look at the wheel. These next gens are just evil, aren't they? Look at the wheel right here. I mean, it just isn't turning.
No. But...
So, you know what, Steve? We got your back. We got your back, man.
Ouch.
It's not all your fault. I'm sure David won't feel that way, but it's not all your fault.
Unfortunate right there, Lewis. He would have been the lucky dog, but that's going to end that opportunity. I don't think...
Yes, it is. All right, let's talk about our leaders real quick.
Well, I mean, this is David Cook's race now, right? I mean, now he's in the seat. He's the one controlling the restarts. He's got 17 lap fresher tires than Volpus. But you know what? It's going to be Michael Mata right behind him. And if Mata can stick close, then it's Mata who has 6 lap fresher tires than Cook.
That is, I mean, you've been taking the words out of my mouth all day, me and Gene. And I'm pretty much just going to mirror what you just said and really what to focus on, in my opinion, when it comes to Mata and Cook, because I think it is them too. Not to take away Vulpes' chances. I mean, it's Joseph Vulpes. We've seen his speed here. We've seen what he's done today. He can win this thing. But in terms of just raw speed and more than anything, tire situation, we're talking 18 laps, older tires for Vulpes to Cook, and even more than that to Mata. But what I talked about in that initial restart is that outside car, or that second car in the restart, they're getting cleared by the leader, and then they're being forced to the top on 1 and 2, and that's just been deadly. While you still get a run out of 1 and 2, it's not forming enough on that first initial run. I just think the cars aren't up to speed as much as they need to be, or whatever the problem may be. But this is, to my knowledge, and correct me if I'm wrong or if you know, I think this is Cook's first time leading us to green. So I don't think he's going to have the field control down that Vulpes has, much less I think Vulpes will know how to respond to whatever Cook does. But it's going to be a lot about how Mata reacts to that, how Vulpes is taking advantage of, or if he's taking advantage of, and what line he's forced into. Because I think if Mata can get below Vulpes in 1 and 2 and clear him out of 2 on lap 1, oh boy, we're in for a show for that final lap.
I think that's exactly what we're going to see. We saw Vulpes hit the wall quickly on that last restart. Vulpes can't take chances on that outside lane. He's going to have to be cautious and think about the long term more than the short term. This looks like it might be a quick, white checker right here, green-white checker.
Yeah. We are in
as
overtime.
We are suddenly, we are in overtime. The Cook and Mata, those guys have run the 2 fastest laps here today. Cook the fastest, Mata the second fastest.
Yep.
And they are on that inside lane. Redinger on the outside has made some aggressive moves. We can see Matthew Fritz on that inside. Fritz has been very cautious. Here we go with that restart. Let's see exactly how they're going to take it out.
And yeah, so we got this. This is the first overtime finish. If we get to the white, next flag ends it, no matter what. But if we don't, we got 3 more of these things. And let's take into account that could hurt Vulpes with his pit strategy, or with his gas strategy. He's on his 61st lap, Mean Gene. That thing might be out of fuel soon. Here we go.
Let's see what Cook does here. Look at the jump.
Great
Cook
restart.
Mott on the inside, just like you said. Look at the jump Fritz has.
And Mata clears them before 1 and 2. Wow, Mata clears them before 1 and 2. Now we are about to have a showdown for the win, Mean Gene. Here we go, the 71 versus the 16. Will they get to the white flag? And if they do, what will happen?
Vulpes loose on the outside. I think that's going to be the end of his run for the lead. Let's just see where he can hold on for finishing position. The 48 of Fritz under
white flag
Vulpes right now.
Cook in the wall.
It's official. Cook touches. The 16 is making his run, but he just can't close that gap. This is an amazing finish we're looking at, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, we are. David Cook, he grazed the wall, but it did not affect his speed too bad. He still has a nice lead, and Mata touches the wall, and that's all Cook is going to need. It is finally happening for him in the Cup Series, and this is honestly kind of overdue. David Cook gets it done at Phoenix. What a drive. It took all day, and this was a war with so many drivers, but David Cook gets it done. How about that, Mean Gene?
What a run. David Cook finally finding his way up into that position. David Cook, he's been threatening all year long, and now it is his turn to be up in victory lane. You could see Mata, he had the second fastest car right behind him, and unfortunately Joe Vulpes, who started up so fast, then he just got ate up once he was put into the field, pushed back into ninth. Your top 3, David Cook, Michael Mata, Matthew Fritz, piloting that 48 bow tie. Top 3, all Chevrolets. That is a fascinating finish. David Cook, though, with that big wind sack, that guy was fast all day.
Yeah, he was, and we said it, 10 laps into this thing, that 6 guys could win this, and David Cook was one of them, and he just stayed in it all day. He probably made some of, if not the least mistakes. He was just so solid all day, and like you said, Vulpes, that strategy just came back and bit him right in the rear end in the end of this race. Class act. Want to shout out Michael Mata for the little butt tap to Cook at the end of this race. Two guys who worked so hard this race and both deserved it equally. Mata being a class act there. And one last shout out as we round out our top 10. We got Cook, Mata, Fritz, Sally, Dodson, Duvall, Jose Medina. What an awesome recovery, and that's why you never give up. He was 2 laps down early in this race, and he ends up with a top 10, his best finish in the series so far. Awesome job by him. Redinger, our points leader, keeping a good grasp on that. In my opinion, he'll probably come out of here with the points lead. Volpus 9th, like we talked about, and Austin Merrow, another guy who did an exceptional recovery, running our top 10. Who we got for interviews today, Mean Gene?
I think what we need to do is see if we can get a hold of Matthew Fritz. He's our 3rd place finisher, and I'd love to chat with him. Matthew Fritz, number 48 Chevrolet. Do I got you, buddy?
Yes, sir.
Matthew, you got Mean Gene money up here, bud. 3rd place. How's it feel to be up on that podium?
It was a crazy race. I'm not very good here, and I would just take it. Top 3 is great. It feels like a win.
He was the madhouse up at the front. You know, Cook and Mod definitely had faster cars than everybody else. You could just see them closing the gap. But you're back there battling with Fritz, Sally. You got Bobby Dodson, Duvall, who was faster than everybody in practices there. And then you got Joe Volpus on those old tires, making it interesting. When you going up and getting past Volpus, was there some apprehension, or was it just hammer down and you knew now was the time?
It was hammered down and try to get 3rd. Race them clean too. That's what I like to do. Race everybody clean. But yeah, I'm just happy to get 3rd.
I'll tell you what, after last week's Daytona, with that many drivers getting incident points and that many cautions, the only wrecks that really occurred here today seemed to be when the tires got loose, single car wrecks. Everybody did a wonderful job, yourself included, of playing that give and take game. And even at the end, when it was just hammered down wide open, Matthew Fritz, you cut through that field, taking that podium position. Ladies and gentlemen, the number 48 Chevrolet, Matthew Fritz, 3rd place. Thank you for the show, sir. Heck of a day.
Great job, man.
Oh, appreciate it, guys.
All right, Mean Gene, let's, Michael Mata, we got you?
Hey.
Wow, man, you were the star of the show today. You had tons of speed. You came and gone so many times. So many times. You were a blast to watch today. Take me through what the day was like from your perspective, beginning to end, in the most Cliff Notes way you can.
So every time I go to Phoenix, I get in practice and it's like, I hate this place. I hate this. And then all of a sudden it clicks. And like that, it clicks. And I'm like, okay, I'm quick. And then I missed pole by, I think it was 3 thousandths, and that was tough. Mm-hmm. And then once I got the lead, I was worried I was burning my stuff up, and then I pulled out to about a second, and then I was like, all right, what's the strategy going to be? Because it was pretty green at the beginning, so I was like, all right, there's going to be some strategy. And I just thought I'm going to split it in 3rds. I knew it was going to be earlier than everyone, because we can make it like 50 to 60, and I wanted to do 40, 45, 45 about. And it ended up burning me with the caution coming out.
Oh, nothing worse than when a caution comes out of a race that you essentially have control of. We've seen it a few times this year in this league, but it's so frustrating. So I got 2 more questions for you. First one so given everything you've been through today, I know that win, it was right there and you had the tire strategy, but how does it feel for you personally? Like, are you leaving here like, given everything I went through today, I'll take 2nd place, or are you still like, dang it, I won that one?
Wins are hard to come by, especially in leagues like this. There's good guys in here, and they're tough to get. I only have a couple league wins, and this would have been nice. I was fast tonight. It wasn't going to be like I backed my way into it. I was quick. So I sat here. I watched them do the burnout. I wish it was me, though. Second hurts.
I get that. Hey, sometimes watching the burnout and making it hurt that much worse is the best thing you can do, because it reminds you of that the next time that happens. But also, just with that said, the more often you're that quick, then the better, the more often you'll be in an opportunity to win, and then it's a numbers game. It will happen. My last question for you, because this is what fascinated our broadcast team so much and was so awesome to watch, and this is more of just how you can kind of impart some wisdom onto the other drivers who are watching these broadcasts and wanting to figure out how to win these things. How do you keep that confidence and that aggressiveness once you've been through some incidents, some of them self-inflicted, some of them not your fault, but how do you still keep that aggressive and keep your mindset where it needs to be?
A shout out to Case Beer as my teammate. There was a lot of venting going on. He had an earful of me the whole night. I had to just remind myself, be patient. You have the speed. I knew it was going to be hard to pass when you're in the back. All those cautions definitely saved the race, for me at least. I know it hurt others, but I was able to make my way. Starting on the bottom was a huge advantage because you could cut the dog leg.
Yeah.
I know, like, one of the last restarts went from 5th to 3rd.
Wow.
And then I lost it, started 4th, and I was so mad because if I had started 3rd, I probably could have been 2nd coming into the last restart. But yeah, you just got to believe in yourself, really. I mean, it sounds corny, but like, you were up there in the beginning to begin with speed. You can do it again.
Yeah. I mean, I talked about that a couple of races ago, and it's not that this wasn't the case for you today, but I always call it delusional confidence, like that ability to convince yourself that you're better than everyone in the field, whether or not that's the reality of the situation. You have to think that, and you showed that today. You drove with so much confidence. You could tell that you knew you had the fastest car in the field. And like I said, keep doing that over and over again, and the wins are going to stack up before you know it. Excellent job, Michael. It was a blast to watch you today.
Yeah, thanks to the broadcast. You guys do a great job too. I know you guys are just starting out, but this broadcast is awesome.
Hey, means a ton, man, and it's made much easier by having such a fun league to watch and the shows you guys are putting on. So hats off to you guys.
Yeah.
Mean Gene.
Great run, brother.
think-
Great run, brother. Thank you so much.
I think that only leaves one guy, doesn't it?
That's right. You've seen him win in the Wednesday night Xfinity Series. And now, ladies and gentlemen, you see him win, secure his spot in the chase. We're talking about the number 71 Chevrolet, David Cook. David, Mean Gene Money here. Do I got you, brother?
I got you guys. How are we?
Oh, man, not as good as you, but gee whiz, we see you doing the donuts down there and celebrating. I mean, take me through it, man. How are you feeling?
I'm so frustrated with myself. I completely missed my pit stall, and then I somehow got another penalty for passing under yellow. So I ended up
how you lost 2
back,
laps?
and
Yeah.
There
that's how I
it
lost 2
is.
laps.
That's how it is, Mean Gene. We were wondering,
Yeah.
David. We were like, what happened? Okay, thank you. Continue. Sorry, David. We were wondering.
So I was just, I'm like, it's over. So I guess I just kept, plugging away as you do, and luckily I got my laps back. And after that, I think I just had the fire in my belly from being irritated with myself and support system and all that, and just kind of kept ticking away and making the passes and letting things happen.
How difficult was it to time those restarts by Joe Volpis? We saw him destroying the field, and then those last 2, the one before and then the one in which you finally caught him, you just seem to have it dialed in. Take me through that. Is Joe just a master of that? Or what was going on with those restarts?
Yeah, he's really good on the restarts. I mean, I race on one monitor, and usually I have to go by off of the sound of the car firing off next to me. But tonight he was just nailing those restarts. I don't think it would have mattered. So he was just doing an awesome job, and I was doing the best I could, but he just took off like a rocket every time.
It seemed like it. At one point, he slow rolled that thing so bad, Tony Iverson almost smashed into the rear end of him and was forced back into 6th position. But you learned really fast. Those last 2 restarts, before you finally got into the lead, you were the only car that could keep up with him. And on those fresher tires, it just seems like you ate him up. David, we see you jump up also. You were a little bit behind on the points. This is going to push you back up into 9th. That chase position is going to secure it. Rest of the year, you got any other tracks you're targeting for a dub?
I don't know. We'll see what happens from here. All these drivers are really, really fast, and I feel like anytime you can win one of these, it's a blessing, really. And we'll see. We'll see where we go from here. And I'm just glad to be competing for the chase and all that. And thanks to you guys and everybody. So.
Well, David, it's been our pleasure to watch you every week in the Wednesday as well as now the Mondays. Just continue to push your way up into that top 5. But you're right, more and more of these guys are getting faster and faster. And I think it's only a matter of time until we see multiple winners at this level. We've seen Kenneth Redinger take 2. And now you're the next guy we're going to be looking at to see if you can also take 2. Ladies and gentlemen, the 71 of David Cook. He has secured his position in the chase. And tonight, he is the winner at Phoenix Raceway. Thank you so much, David. Great
Congrats,
win, buddy.
David. Good job, man.
Yeah. Thanks so much. Appreciate your broadcast. My sponsor, simrentmarket.com. Appreciate you. My family. Appreciate everybody. My friends, everybody. Broadcast. It's awesome every week. So see you guys. Appreciate you.
Thank you, brother. It's our pleasure. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to wrap up Phoenix for us. That was race 5 of our 10-race regular season. Kenneth Redinger is going to maintain the regular season championship. David Owens is trying to close the gap. Other drivers, I'd like to give a little bit of attention to Jose Medina. The guy was laps down almost all night, comes back, finishes with that strong 7th place position. Really good recovery by him. I expect to see that driver continue to push his way up to the front. Any last thoughts from you, Zach?
Oh man, I mean, I feel like I'm running out of words to gush over this series, me and Gene. I said spoiled last week as we look at the crazy finish that we missed at the end. Look at that. But man, what a fun time. And I just, personally on this one, I want to thank you, me and Gene. I want to thank Kevin Kyle for all the support this week as we did some new production in this one. We weren't able to have Kevin behind the scenes like we normally do, and that wasn't enough to deter me and Gene. I can't thank you, me and Gene, for being so passionate about this and being in the same boat as me and wanting to go on with this and give this a shot. I hope all you guys watching had a great time. And man, it doesn't hurt that we are just so, again, spoiled by this awesome series, these awesome races, these great finishes, these exceptional drivers, and these incredible storylines that we get to follow every week. I'm just having the greatest time here, me and Gene, and I just can't thank you enough. I can't thank everyone at MRL enough who shows up on these, I know on the West Coast, on the East Coast, later races to donate their time to this. And one more thing before we go today, speaking of donating, we all know what's going on with Hurricane Helene. I just want to shout out everyone affected by this. I know a lot of people in this league are from those areas or have loved ones from areas affected by this. And I just want to let you know that everyone here in the MRL broadcast team is thinking about you guys. And please, if you're in the position to donate, please visit AmericanRedCross.org or text them, and I'll get you guys that phone number right now. Right now, I believe it's 90999, and you just want to text Helene to that. If you're in a position to help out with a hurricane going on and all these people's lives being misplaced and such horrific things that we've had to watch, please do that. But me and Gene, MRL, thank you so much. This was a great time tonight, and I just can't explain how much fun I'm having over here.
Really a great night. Again, we see David Cook as he takes that win. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoy what you're seeing, hit that like, hit that subscribe, tell your friends all the support that you can give us. We appreciate it so much. That's what lets us keep going and put these races on the screen for you. Such a good time for myself, Zach, everybody here, KK. I hope your night's going well. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, as always, hammers up, bottoms up, and hammers down.